Hello, I'm Comparo from Comparo Motorsports, and today I have in front of me a brand new item from Icon Motorsports. Well, not necessarily brand new, but a new version of the Variant helmet. This is called the Variant Pro, and it has some very unique and specific changes that we think you're gonna like. So come on in and take a look as we give you the detailed breakdown of what's different between the original Variant and the new Variant Pro. So here on the table in front of me, I've got the Variant Pro and the original Variant helmet. Now I already had these down in the helmet department and I put them on our helmet scale. The Variant Pro in a size large weighed in at 3 pounds 7 ounces. Now the original Variant weighed in at 3 pounds 13 ounces. That's a significant difference between the two. Again, the shell construction is the same one to the other, but they did some internal changes that allows the Variant Pro to be a lighter helmet. Some of the initial things you're going to notice between the two helmets is the visor. The peak visor is going to be different than that of the original Variant. They did some wind tunnel testing and they found ways to make this helmet almost neutral when wind is hitting it. Now I have just got done from riding about 50 miles in this helmet. Fast highway, twisties, and some pretty good off-road. So as we're doing this review, I'm going to be putting clips of that in there so you can see just exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the features and benefits of this Icon Variant Pro helmet. Now it's funny that I had mentioned wind tunnel testing because the original Variant helmet I did get a little bit of pull on, and this one here, that was completely eliminated. Now those comments were made prior to me actually learning that this helmet was redesigned in a wind tunnel. So no wonder they were able to get a really good flow off of the peak visor of this helmet. Now as far as ventilation goes, I was able to feel great ventilation through the upper vents here, but was not able to feel a whole lot of ventilation from the chin vent. Now that could be due to the fact that I was wearing a GoPro camera down there and that could have obstructed it, but those are some of the things that are going to come out in the wash as we put more miles on these helmets, testing them so we can come back to you with a real detailed on-road review of what we really think. Well, talking about ventilation up there on the chin, there is a change in how that vent is functioned. On the original helmet here, we have a little slide bar here on the front that opened and closed. On this new helmet, it is underneath. And this vent system here functions just by hitting this with your thumb as you're riding down the road. Now you can see on the inside of this helmet that vent opening and closing. It's a pretty large opening. I would imagine that I would have felt more air flowing in the helmet when I did open that up. Now the caveat to that is I was riding a motorcycle that did have a windscreen. So it could have been I was in enough of a clean air bubble that I wasn't able to feel that wind coming in through that chin vent. So again, another thing that I'll have to take to the drawing board and to test again in order to see exactly how much air is going to come in from that vent. I actually am a fan of these vents underneath being accessible directly on the helmet shell itself instead of it being up on top of that peak visor. I think that's a benefit for this newly redesigned helmet. When it comes to the visor change, the original Variant was a little bit quirky. The new Variant Pro is very different when it comes to the visor change. Basically, we remove the whole peak visor, it slides forward and off, and that allows you to get to the actual shield to be able to change it. Very different. It's a new thing that Icon's doing, and we're curious to see what your feedback is on this style of setup. Now when it comes to exhaust venting, you're going to notice that the new Variant Pro does not have these rear vents down here at the bottom. It does have top chimney vents here, but they're covered by this plastic piece and you can't really see them. But if you're to look inside the helmet in the back, you're going to be able to see two really large vent holes here at the top. Now, an interesting fact to that is the fact that when this helmet has water pouring down on top of it, because this solid piece of plastic is covering those vents, no water should be going inside this shell through those open holes. That should be a benefit to you if you happen to ride in wet weather. Again, we know that these helmets were designed up there in the Pacific Northwest where it is quite wet, so they definitely know what they're doing when it comes to wet weather technology. Now, rotating around to the back of the helmet, you're going to notice that the new Variant Pro has a significant upcut here in the back. Now, I did notice when I was wearing this helmet that the helmet seemed like it was a little bit shorter here on the neck. It allowed me to have lots of room and maneuverability. It felt more freer flowing, if you will. A lot of air between the helmet and the top of my jacket. a little bit more than I ever noticed when I was wearing the standard variant helmet. As you can notice on this variant helmet, it comes all the way down to the bottom. And I think that the reason this is cut the way it is to accentuate airflow. So wind's gonna be coming around the helmet, it's gonna hit this little channel here, and it's gonna kind of cause this wind flow effect that I was definitely able to feel between my neck and the jacket and the helmet. So those are the quick details of what this helmet looks like or how it varies from the original variant helmet. All right, the visor change on this is quite unique. Now, you have to bear with me, this is my second time actually doing the visor change, so over time it will get a lot easier to do, and if I fumble with it, please bear with me. Now let me preface this with the fact that you can't change out the face shield without removing the peak visor. I don't know if that's a security thing, but that is what's gonna happen here. You're gonna notice the first step is gonna be to press this button right here on the top of the peak visor. So we're gonna push that down, and then we're gonna pull this peak visor forward, and that's gonna slip out of this groove, and it's gonna rotate forward and then release from the sides. You're gonna notice that we have a little T-shaped button right here that's gonna slide in here, and that's gonna keep everything connected and attached. Once that peak visor is removed, we can now lift this all the way up, and then when it's in the up position, there's a tab down here that pops out and allows this to come completely off of the hinge. So that would be the process in removing the actual face shield from the helmet if you're going to swap it out to a different color or a different tint. Now the installation of the new shield or visor is going to be the same. We're going to go ahead and make sure that we line up the tabs here. Then we're going to snap it into place, close that down. Then we're going to take our peak visor. We're going to make sure that the tabs here on the inside line up vertically with the tab here on the side, like so. Once those are locked into place, we're going to rotate this visor up. We're going to stick it down and lock it into place. This is a very secure way to make sure that this face shield will never come off this helmet as it's held in place by this peak visor. Now that we talked a lot about the outside of the helmet, we've looked at the peak visor and we've looked at the shield, let's dig into the guts of this and take a look at what the liner looks like. The first thing we're gonna notice are the D-rings here. These are a very lightweight material. I don't know if it's titanium or aluminum, but it's definitely not stamped steel. I kind of like that. It has a nice quality finish to it. So the cheek pads are going to be Velcroed in with two snaps that hold them in place. So go ahead and pull those out real quick. We're now going to look down inside this helmet. We have a back liner that comes all the way forward. So this is going to be the center liner, if you will. That's going to be an individual piece that runs from the back of the helmet all the way to the front. Now, moving on to the next two pieces, we're going to have these two side pieces that are going to have their own two snaps, one on the left and one on the right. So between these 5 pieces, really 3 different sections, if you will, you've got the center, you've got the sides, and you have the cheek pads. You can actually modify each of these pieces in order to get the proper fit for your specific head shape. Now when it comes to the liner material, this is a Hydradry fabric. It's gonna be moisture wicking, antimicrobial. It's gonna be easy to just toss into your washing machine, wash it, let it dry, and then throw it right back into your helmet. While we have this helmet torn apart real quick, I want to point out a couple of the features. Now the very large channels that you see here is going to facilitate a lot of airflow so that you can ensure that this helmet is going to be as cool as many of the other helmets out there in the market. You're also going to see ample cutouts there right next to the chin straps. That cutout right there is for your helmet speakers. Now this helmet is recommended for the Icon RAU intercom system. It's going to be a very low profile system. It's going to stick on the outside of the helmet here that has a flat cable or a flat wire that's going to come up underneath the helmet. That's going to allow you to have the most low profile helmet speaker setup inside your helmet. Now that RAU unit is made by Sena. It is a top quality unit. I have it installed on my Airflight helmet and I gotta say, I really like the way that it functions. That system has 3 buttons, it's very simple to use, and the charge lasts a really long time. Take a look at our complete installation video of that RAU unit on an Icon Airflight helmet. The link to that installation video will be in the description. I guess there is one last piece inside this helmet that I haven't really talked a whole lot about, and that's going to be the chin skirt here. It simply has hook and loop on each side that's going to allow you to be able to easily remove it if you don't want it installed. As you can see, it has a very unique cutout here, and that cutout allows this to be able to fit so that you still have access to the chin vent system. Well, there it is, folks. That is your detailed breakdown of the new Icon Variant Pro helmet. As you can see, this Variant Pro is very different than the original variant that was released years ago that has been a very popular helmet in the adventure and dual sport worlds. If you have any questions about this helmet, please leave a comment below and we'll be sure to get back to you ASAP. If you like what you saw today, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want more action like this coming directly to your email inbox, please hit that subscribe button and, more importantly, the notification bell. I'm Kyle from Chaparral Motorsports. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, take care and ride safe out there.